Hi friends, it's Nathan, a second-year pharmacy student studying at the University of Waterloo. Welcome to channel, welcome back to our channel. This is part 3, the final episode of my college finals week for the spring 2022 term. If you haven't seen part 1 and part 2 of the exam diary, I will link them above. They provide all the context as to how I'm feeling right now. Part 1 was the week before finals, so preparing, studying 10 hours a day, just trying to get into exam mode. And then part 2 is where I actually take my finals, and I just broke down in them. I did very poorly on 2 out of the 4 exams, and I just walked out of that exam room in tears, and it didn't go well. And then come now to part 3, where I do my live reaction. And I do my live reaction because I want you guys to see the whole process. I take you guys throughout the whole journey. It only makes sense for you to see the final result. And you guys have been on this rodeo 3 times now. This will be a 4th. So if we're gonna get through it, we're gonna get through it together. The exam results were released today in the morning. I have not checked them, and I don't want to check them still. There's a saying that the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know, and that's really how I'm feeling. I rather not know what my exams are and let me think that either I got an A, either I got a C, rather than actually knowing my grade and having that be definitive. But we have to check it. We have to. So I have everything open, but before I go into the grades, I just want to kind of give you a quick rundown. Again, if you want the full context of how I felt before, during, and after every exam, then watch the video last week. But just as a quick rundown, my first exam was on July 29th, the Friday. This was therapeutics, and it covered topics of cardiology, a bit of nephrology, and pharmacoeconomics. Now, I do not do well in cardiology. I'm just gonna put it out there. It's not my strongest block. It's very complex. It's very wavy, not, pun intended because of the ECG, but it's not very structured. I feel like what you know about stroke can or cannot apply to heart failure. There's a lot of intertwining therapies, and things just get really jumbled up, especially when you learn something very quickly. And I just felt like I didn't really have time to solidify my knowledge as much as I wanted to, and so I was getting confused and tripped up on the exam. As well, pharmacoeconomics, I didn't have the time to go through it in detail. I really just glanced over it, and I went into the exam pretty blindly. I thought that there was going to be less than what was actually going to be on it, so that really took me by surprise. And during the exam, just the confidence was not good. And I know that when I feel uncertain, when I feel shaky, when the nerves get to me, I do worse. Then moving on, I had the weekend to study for my next exam, which was on August 2nd, and that was an exam called Professional Practice. Now, this exam was really hard to study for because of my circumstance. So I had 3 days to study for this exam technically, but I went home during the weekend because my sister was getting engaged and I wanted to be there to celebrate with her. So I kind of took a break, and it was really hard for me to bounce back. I've never actually taken a break like that ever during my exam period. So getting out of exam mode and almost feeling like it was summer break to going back into exam was near impossible. The Saturday and Sunday were days where I basically did nothing, and I couldn't physically even sit at my desk to do work because I was so out of the groove. So Monday was my only day of studying for it, and I told myself that I would wake up early before the exam on the Tuesday, which is the August 2nd, and I missed my alarm. So I lost 2-3 hours to study for that exam in the morning, and I thought I was doomed. But then I wrote the exam, and it went well. At least I think it did. A lot of the information that I went through was coming back to me. When you write an exam and it's actually enjoyable, you're going through it calmly, composed, and you're able to answer the questions, and you feel like it's fair, you're accurately being tested on the material, and you're able to kind of show what you've been working so hard throughout the whole semester. And that's how I felt for this exam, professional practice. And this exam is all about the clinical skills of being a pharmacist. So not so much what needs to be in here, but how you want to take what's in here and act it out in practice. It's been a while. So I'm just trying to think of some topics that we covered. Was things like measuring blood pressure or how to perform insulin injection. So more of the practical skills. Yeah, that went really well, and I was really glad that I had a win after the first one. Hi friends, I think at this point of the video we're all a little bit parched with our mouths being open in anticipation, bums to the edge of the seat. So let's do a quick water break from our Brita pitcher and filter, who has kindly partnered with me on today's video. Now that is some great tasting, healthier water. Now is the time where students are going back to university, and I want to tell you the #1 dorm or college apartment essential, and that is the Brita pitcher filter. I don't like the taste of the water on campus or in the city that my school is located in, so the Brita pitcher gives me great tasting water. And it's as easy as changing a filter every 2 months. Also, I study a lot, and I'm always doing stuff, and I'm running around, and I'm doing errands, and being a student is busy, and a lot of the times we're not drinking enough water. And so having a pitcher with you ensures you're always getting the adequate amount of water daily. Not only is my increased water intake better for myself, it's also better for the planet. Each Brita standard filter replaces up to 1,800 500 milliliter standard single-use plastic water bottles each year. And also, I'm just saying, when I go into a dorm and I see people with a bunch of plastic water bottles, it's really not a good look. Make sure you're picking up your Brita pitcher and filter before you head back to university. You're gonna love it, you're gonna need it, and it'll be linked in my description box below. Thank you, Brita, and let's continue on with the video. Moving on, I had a break. So the Wednesday, I was able to study for my Thursday exam, which is August 4th, and that was my OSCE, which stands for an Objective Structured Clinical Exam. Now, these are exams that all healthcare students need to do. They are focused on patient interaction, so it's role play essentially. I'm a pharmacist and you have an actor comes in, they're gonna be a patient, they present you their illness, their case, their issue, and then you have to solve it on the spot, and you're given 7 minutes to basically come up with your drug therapy problem, which is what we call issue, how to solve it, create the care plan, act it out, provide counseling, all that kind of stuff. The first station was a new prescription where I had to counsel them. The second station was a refill, so I kind of asked about side effects, I asked about how they're doing, see if there's any corrections that need to be made. The third one was an over-the-counter counseling, so a patient has an issue, they want something on the shelves, and you kind of recommend a product. And then the fourth one was a professional counseling session. I can't exactly say what it was, but it's kind of like a clinical service. And then the fifth one was documentation, which was a non-interactive, so it was just me on my own. There was no actor involved. I can go into all the detail, but I won't. Again, watch the video because I had probably the biggest breakdown I've had ever since the beginning of pharmacy school. I just kept spiraling. I did one bad station in the middle, and then all the ones after it went terribly. I just couldn't get out of the catastrophizing. I couldn't get my head straight. I was just so flabbergasted from the previous one that it affected the next one, and it just went so bad. like looking back at it, I can say that without breaking into tears, but in that moment, it was really tough. I cried in the stairwell. You'll see. And then the very last one was on the Friday, August 5th, and that was institutional practice, which is a course that's focused on health systems, policy, interprofessionals that work within healthcare. And that went really well. I studied appropriately, and it was just good to end it off on a strong note. They were really, really hard exams. And I just don't know if it would ever get easier throughout the program. I'm halfway done. I have basically just 2 more academic semesters left, but pharmacy school is just pass or fail. I just need to pass. I just need to get above a 60 to guarantee progression in the program. That's all I care about. Just I need 60, 60, 60. I'm manifesting 60 right now. And just for anyone that thinks that 60 is low and it's really easy to get, it's really actually not. It's really, really hard. And like 70s, 80s, those are the new 90s. Like getting 90s, 100s does not happen in pharmacy school. So I just want to put that into context. I'm like so scared because walking out of those 2 exams that I did terribly on, I don't know if I passed. Truthfully, I just don't know if I made the cut. And that's a really scary thought because if I fail my exams, then I have to repeat the whole year. You can't just do like a makeup exam, you drop into the lower cohort, so I would graduate late. I wouldn't graduate with my friends. No one wants to be the person left behind, and I don't want to be the person left behind. So that's like always a constant fear of mine, is whether I'm gonna pass and whether I get to graduate on time 2024 or not. Okay, we're just gonna check this. Whatever happens, I worked my hardest. I did my best under the circumstances. I did get ill twice before my exams, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but I'm just trying to remind myself that I've been through so much, and exams always really take a toll on my mental health. As much as I try to look at it in a positive light, in a healthy light, it has the potential to ruin me. And I'm just like telling myself that, to remember that it's gonna be okay no matter what happens. So we're gonna click view my grades, then select the term. Okay, just gonna 1, 2, 3 click, okay? 1, 2, 3, click. Okay, I passed everything. So cardiology, my therapeutics exam, I passed literally by the skin of my teeth. Like I barely passed, but I still passed. So I'm gonna take that as a win. I've worked so hard in this class. I struggled so bad, and I got a pass. Professional practice, I got a 74. I am happy with that. Going into both the written and the practical, I had high 80s. So the fact that, you know, the OSCE, I'm pretty sure, was the killer here, dropped me down like more than 10%. I can actually see what my individual grades are. So let's check that out to see exactly what I got on each station. Yeah, so as expected, my new prescription OSCE, I got an 81, which I expected because I did well on that. My non-prescription OSCE, also known as an over-the-counter consult, what's on the aisles, that I got an 85, which I also expected because I did well on that. The refill prescription, I struggled with that. This is the one where I didn't know what was wrong with the patient until the very last minute. I had a guess, so I just kind of blurted out everything I can think of in that minute to get as many points as possible. And through just blurting it out and not even letting the patient speak, I just tried to get everything on so the examiner could assess it. I got a 60, that's a recovery. And then for the clinical professional interaction, that clinical service station, I got a 43, which I'm not surprised about because I did recommend something that was unsafe for the patient. And this is pretty like bad, right? Like I caused harm to the patient. I think they could see where I was coming from and everything leading up to the point. Like, so you have your like diagnosis is at the very end, but you're collecting, you're assessing, you're gathering of information. All of that critical thinking is still a big part of the assessment, and I did well on that. It was just really that final recommendation. It wasn't the preferred agent, and that's what kind of cost me it. The 43 really isn't bad. I'm happy with it for how terribly I found it. And then the last one was the non-interactive station, the documentation. And that one, I'm not surprised. I got a 16% on this one. And that's just because I couldn't answer it because I got so overwhelmed that I completely missed a resource on the right side. I kept looking at the left side And like, saying it to you, it sounds crazy, but yeah, I just didn't see the resource that I had access to on the right side. I just kept looking at the left side, and I was like, where is it? Where is it? I need to know this information. I'm not finding it in this booklet. It wasn't there because it was on the right side. That one is actually worth the least out of all the stations because it wasn't as involved. Even though I got a 16% on this, it didn't hit me too hard. Overall in the OSCE, if you total everything up on the percentages, it is a 62%. Yeah, I am happy with that. Oh, I also see what I got on my exam. So my exam, I got a 65 on the written exam for this class. And that's pretty standard, that's pretty solid. I thought I would have done better just because I felt a little more confident going into that exam, and walking out of that exam, I didn't feel terribly. I'm not saying that the grade isn't good because I passed and that's what I wanted. I just kind of thought that it would be a little bit higher, but thank God I was going into those exams with a high mark. So even though getting mid-tier 60s, my high 80 provided a good buffer for it, which is so important because I do a lot better throughout the term than I do on finals. And then my last exam is institutional practice, and I got a 74 on that as well overall. And that, I'm happy with that. That's a pretty solid mark. Yeah, I'm really happy with pretty much all my marks. I really do wish that my therapeutics grade was a little higher, not being so close to the threshold, but with all things considered, it makes sense. You know, the term was really tough for me and I really did struggle in the class. I pushed through, I made it, and you guys will be seeing another round of these vlogs because we're moving on to my third year. I'm like sweating a lot. So I'm gonna try to do the rest of this video without lifting my arms because I think there's gonna be sweat stains. But I want to say thank you guys for sticking around for the series. This is the fourth round and it was long. I mean, it was 47 minutes episode 1 and then 52 minutes episode 2. This one's probably going to be another long one, but I really want to be as transparent as possible and show you the beginning to end, what happens in terms of college exams, what happens in the mind of a student during all this stress and pressure. And I really hope it conveys through the series that I do every semester. So thank you so much. I really appreciate all of you guys, and you guys were my motivation. You guys were my strength and rock throughout this entire period. And I've talked about it before, but I don't speak to a lot of people during finals. I kind of keep to myself. So you guys, you know, the camera, and it really is nice to have like kind of a friend to talk to during these weeks. And yeah, I love you guys. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to give it a like. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this exam season, and if you want to share your mark and you feel comfortable with, please do so. It is a safe space in the comments, and I will be monitoring them. I want to celebrate you guys. I want to congratulate you guys. I will be blocking anyone that is negative because being a student, there is really no shame in an A versus a C. A good mark is a good mark. It's all relative, and I'm just so proud that you guys got through it and you persevered. If you want to see more videos like this, study vlogs, study advice, lifestyle vlogs, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you get notified every time I post a new video. And if you want to see more of my day-to-day life as a student, you can follow me on Instagram at nathan.wu, also on TikTok at it's NathanWu. But that's it for me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Someone